We're going to go over the classes for POE 2 in this video. I will show you the gameplay here. I also do recommend watching this video. You can watch it in parts as you like, but I did watch the whole video as I was cooking dinner the other night. I do recommend watching this if you can. It's really good. But for those of you that can't watch and rather just listen to the breakdown of each class, don't want to go to their website and do the actual reading, I'll do the breakdown for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So, to start out with, we have the Mercenary here. And you can watch the gameplay here, as well as some of the video. So the Mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo types and offering versatility, power, and mobility. He also has the option to combo abilities together to devastating effect. The Warrior. The warrior pounds the ground with big, chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of smaller enemies with large amounts of armor. The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. With classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The ranger is quick but deadly, peppering her enemies with arrows and then vaulting away before they have a chance to reach her. The Monk. The Monk is fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping the momentum. And lastly, the Witch. Death and decay are the witch's weapons of choice. She can call forth hordes of undead minions to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells. I'll let this gameplay finish, but those are the 6 basic classes, and I will go into detail on what each ascendancy is for those classes next. So as I let this video play out on the gameplay and ascendancies, I will go over in detail of what to look forward to in ascendancies. But what is an ascendancy and how does it work in Passive Exile 2? For those of us that are new to Passive Exile 2, an ascendancy is basically a specialization. You choose your basic class, your warrior, your witch, your monk, etc. And then you get 2 choices in the early access. And eventually it'll be 3 choices, but for now, in the early access, it will be 2 choices. For the warrior, you will have the ascendancy, the Titan. The Titan focuses on stuns, slams, and beefy defense. Call upon your ancestors to boost your slams, push your enemies to the ground, and shrug off any attack. The second ascendancy for the warrior is the Warbringer. This fearsome front-line fighter conjures ancestral spirits to pummel his foes and has a voice so powerful his war cries can detonate his fallen enemies. For the sorceress, become a master of the elements who can cast faster, hit harder, and chill and shock enemies en masse. The Stormweaver can even conjure devastating elemental storms. The second ascendancy is called the Chronomancer. The Chronomancer wields powerful temporal magic that can reset cooldowns, slow enemies in her presence, and even freeze time itself. The Ranger, the first ascendancy is the Deadeye. This expert marksman can take down foes with style. She moves as fast as the wind and can knock additional arrows with every draw. The Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is a master of flasks and poison. She can turn mana potions into chemical weapons and stack poisons to her heart's content. The Monk. The first ascendancy is the Invoker. The Invoker wields the element with ease and can use the power to become an elemental avatar. The Invoker is also a master of spirit, allowing him to use many abilities without lifting a finger. The second ascendancy is called the Acolyte of Chayula. The Acolyte of Chayula exchanges mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. Summoning power from the breach, he trades elemental affinity for chaos. The next one is the mercenary. The mercenary's first ascendancy is called the witch hunter. The witch hunter specializes in taking down the most deadly of foes with extra defenses against magic and the ability to break the concentration of his enemies. He is perfectly suited for slaughtering spellcasters. The second ascendancy for the mercenary is called the Gemlin Legionnaire. Enhance your abilities by embedding gems directly into your flesh. The Gemlin Legionnaire can use more skills than any other class, and the more he uses, the more powerful he becomes. Lastly, we have the Witch. The first ascendancy is called the Bloody Mage. Become a master of life energy. The Bloody Mage uses her own life as a resource to bring destruction to her enemies. And lastly, the Inner Analyst. Sorry, the Infernalist. The Infernalist transcends needs for mana, instead building heat as she casts spells. With an Infernal Hound at her side, she can even turn into a demon herself. So think of like a Lilith from Diablo, or just in general. So if we break this down further, looking at the warrior and its two ascendancies, you basically have your frontliner, the person who's going to be up front if you play in a party or just if you want survivability in general. This guy is going to be at the heat of the battle, taking on all damage without really losing much health and just be a tank overall. There seems to be two different playstyles here. One that has war cries and allows you to do damage as well as buff yourself and or teammates. And then you have the Titan that seems to be more of a mace or heavy attacks, probably slow but yet powerful attacks, as you can see here in the video, is what you're looking for. If this is your playstyle, this is something you should look forward to. I've seen a lot of videos show off the warrior now, and it seems like one of those slow but strong hitting characters. The next class here that we're going to look at is the ranger, and its two ascendancies. The first one they're showing here is the Deadeye. The Deadeye, as you can see, uses elemental arrows to do damage. A lot of lightning here. I saw some ice, and this is what you're looking for if you're looking to have range and do elemental damage that isn't a sorceress or a witch. This is more of shooting arrows that have elemental damage. Here we have the second ascendancy called the Pathfinder, and her focus is on poisons and flasks to increase her poison damage. So as you can see, she throws flasks that do lightning damage, but she also has these poison bombs that do poison damage over time. Again, one of those playstyles that if you want to be from afar and do damage without being in the midst of the actual packs of mobs, then this is the class you're going to look at. So as we can see here, the Infernalist with her Hellhound right here, you're going to be doing damage over time as well as some quick damage burst, and you'll be able to turn into this powerful demonic possession of a demon where you can just throw a whole bunch of fire damage. And I'm assuming they're going to increase the affinities you have towards fire and or the damage you're going to be taking from ice. Here, the other class from the witch was called the Blood Mage. So basically, you're gonna um, have a lot of minions, kind of like a Necromancer style, but you can also have, instead of using mana, you'll be using your own blood pool. I know that in one of the videos that I saw with Jonathan, the developer for the game of POE 2, he specifically discussed how some of the skills will actually double the amount of health you have, um, and that is because some of those skills are actually taking away that life. So it does balance itself out. I know he just mentioned that in a video this week, so that he can clarify that point because people were like, "Why am I going to lose half my health and be, you know, taking more damage at the same time?" So that's one of the things he wanted to clarify. So next we'll look at the monk here, and the monk has the invoker. So this guy's gonna be basically quick elemental hits, and as I said, you're gonna have an avatar stage where you can actually, I'm assuming, use all four elements as they mentioned. A lot of wind, fire, ice, and I'm assuming when he slams down, it's considered earth, but it looks kind of like fire and lightning. So again, you're kind of like a up close elementalist instead of a sorceress that's from afar using elemental skills. And here, as I said, um, you're the acolyte of Chayula. Instead of having mana, you're gonna have chaos, and this will allow you to do damage. So the biggest thing about this class that I've noticed is that you put a bell on the ground and then you hit it, and that does a huge amount of damage when it explodes and as you're hitting it. I mean, again, it's one of those classes you're up front doing damage, elemental damage, and it's just a different playstyle instead of having um, the warrior. And as you can see, when he runs through it, you see these little. Let me go back real quick. You see that they have for the right here. You see this purple little flame, purple and red flame. So according to this, it's little flames that give him a burst of speed and damage. I'm not sure if it's gonna have defensive skills or what exactly you'll be able to achieve from it, as such as Omnivamp or any other buffs. But I know that they talked about having uh, speed and damage when you pick these up, and you're gonna see them randomly around the screen when you're like right here, another one appeared. So again, it's just another way of keeping the class new and lively when you're playing this. It's one of those classes that I look forward to playing and trying out. But the first class that I'm going to be trying out is the Witcher here, or I should say the Mercenary, and I'm going to be doing the Witch Hunter. Um, so one of the biggest things that caught my attention with this is that they're bringing the WASD uh, keyboard so you can actually walk around with those keys instead of point click like the rest of the ARPGs. And with that, this this class is said to be going to be playing like a shooter. So think of like if you were playing any any shooter game in in an ARPG that you'll be able to walk and dodge and not be caught up in point click and try to aim from afar at the same time like a sorcerer. So the this guy, the Gemlin Legionnaire, is gonna, as you can see, has the ability to put gems in their body to be able to have even more skills unlike the other classes. So this is gonna be for those people that can actually spend a lot of time probably in this game and fine tune this character, this class into the perfect, basically uh, I would say kind of like a meat shield. You're going to be resistant. You're going to be having higher quality skills. You're going to be able to do more damage, have more buffs and more defenses. So this could be a very interesting class to play. One of the things that I haven't mentioned thus far, but is very important to know as well, is that you will be allowed to switch between items, classes. So if you look in this video real quick, and let me see if I can find it, if I remember where it was. Classes, Ritual, Delirium, Ascension Trials, items. Oh, here it is. So basically, you have your build class, for example. Your here's your actual crossbow, and then you can see here that there's a second slot. So when you can actually switch on the fly to your second slot, and let's say you have a second crossbow, right, with a separate passive skill tree of, let's say you have, where's the skill tree here? So let's say you have a certain skill tree that goes, again, they're not showing everything, but let's say you're up here for one skills and your second skill tree goes this way. You're able to switch on the fly your item build, and it'll switch your passive skill tree at the same time, allowing you even more versatility in your types of build. And I'll finish off with the actual sorceress because they put her first in this video. So we have the Stormweaver first, which is basically using a lot of lightning and using other elements to hit hard ice, as well as the Chronomancer. This is one's new as well, which basically allows you to stop all monsters, as you can see here, to set up a big ultimatum, basically a attack, to kill a whole bunch of monsters. Obviously, it'll probably have a limit on how long you can freeze them for, but if you can extend it by passive skills, by other skills, or even items that have those passives to increase the time you freeze them, this can be very powerful, especially if you're in a bind. You can freeze them all like this, set them up in a corridor to actually do the damage. It seems like a fun class to play. I may try this one out as well since it is new, but I feel like the Witch Hunter is gonna be for me, as well as not the Pathfinder, the Warrior, the Monk seems fun as well. What I'm also looking forward to is the Druid to be released, which I'm hoping they do in either January or February. But that's it for now, guys.